tomatoes, shredded cheese, just see what it might do. Garlic. We even made our own beef and chicken bouillon here.
Oh, yeah, okay. Freeze dried, huh? Okay. Yeah, how does that turn out? Have you tried it when you rehydrate it?
We haven't rehydrated it, but for most of the items, it doesn't take much water at all.
Yeah.
As long as you just take a little bit, maybe just a couple tablespoons, and just roll it around, give it a few minutes to soak up and saturate, it'll be just like you'd had it just cut out.
Oh, wow. That's just milk, just regular milk?
Yep, that's just canned milk that we did through pressure canning. All of this here done is pressure canning.
Oh, okay.
And that's dehydrated eggs that we had to powdered and airlocked into a jar. And as you see, for most of the dates here, we've been doing it for quite some time.
Yeah.
Oldest one is we brought is this here, our 2015 jar of chicken here.
Chicken, yeah. Where are you from?
Rockmart, Georgia.
Okay. Is this? And you're going to go over how you get this stuff? How to freeze dry it?
Mm-hmm.
How y'all do it? You got okay, cool.
Yep, we got our own little slide going because most of the freeze drying, there's just a freeze dryer that we have at home. It's the Harvest Life freeze dryer.
Harvest Life, okay.
Yeah, we've got that, and we've been running it nonstop since.
I have a friend that does a lot of canning, and I don't know if he does freeze dried stuff, but he's told me he's canned beef and pork and chicken and eggs, but he was doing eggs a different way. I think it wasn't like this.
Yeah, because this is just something we just dehydrated the eggs and then put it in the jar and then just vacuum sealed it.
Yeah.
To store it in there.
All right. Okay, well, I look forward to hearing you go over it.
Yeah, our slide will be 9 to 10. We'll be talking about more than just the canning here.
Okay.
Talking about we got our 10 major steps of prepping. So
okay,
I'd
cool.
be happy to see you there.
All right, Seth. My name's Rich.
Well, good to meet you, Rich.
Good to meet you. Thanks. Yeah.
A busy day.
Yeah. So this is just a short video that I created that represents what we do, not only for North Georgia GMRS, but as preppers. So, and then also,
We're also part of North Georgia GMRS.
That's how I got started in Hamradio.
There you go. I think that GMRS is a gateway drug, I tell you.
That's it. I need counseling now.
Well, and we run a prepping net the second and fourth Monday of every month. So they allow us to get on there and talk about all our fun stuff.
Okay.
Oh, that's your radio.
Our net is called the rabbit hole.
also have a Zello listen-only channel. So even if you're out of state,
Yeah.
you can still listen into the nets and
Oh.
radio traffic and things like that. So, and if you want to get in on that too,
Is that brochure you just handed?
it is.
Okay, good.
They'll have that information also at the booth that we have outside.
Okay, so what I've created here is just a small diagram of the basics. There's more to prepping than what's listed here, but I just wanted to create something that gets people started. So what you need to focus on is food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, gardening, communications, hunting, fishing, and first aid. And I call them the 10 Commandments of Prepping. So, in order to get started, assume or use everything, even down to, you have to consider it 1 is none and 2 is 1. So, once you get a good inventory of what you already have in your home, you can figure out what you're short on and work on that, and so on and so on. And then each payday, we call it a payday prepper haul. Get a little extra of what you're short on, each payday. So, what to add?
No, just, and be aware of what you're buying. You don't want to go with a whole bunch of high sodium stuff. Take a look at the labels if you have high blood pressure. Be careful what you're stocking up on.
Stock up on only what you and your family will use, because you're prepping for yourself and your family, not for everyone else.
And just remember too, it's not take the stress out of it is the biggest thing. Everyone gets really confused on how do I get started. It's actually really simple.
Yeah.
Just buy a little extra every
And
time you
just
go to the
make
grocery
sure,
store.
also make sure you have a designated area to store your preps. As far as the food goes, cool and dark is always the golden rule. Keep it nice and a good, medium temperature, and always dark. Keep it out of the light.
Well, people think they need to go buy a pallet of Mountain House foods or the, For Patriots food. You see all these, you bombarded with commercials, buy the survival food.
Well,
and
my
it's
recommendation is
very
if you
expensive.
can, stay away from that stuff because it is full of sodium. And if you learn to preserve your own food, such as canning, dehydrating, or freeze drying, we'll get into that in a little bit, you control the ingredients, you control the amount of sodium and all the rest of it. And what you see up here is just some examples of what you can do. They may not look, all that pretty, but, it looks exactly the same thing in a can. You just can't see it in the can. So,
You got any questions on storage or? Okay.
well, just add shelving if you need it,
Yeah.
Water is the next one. Water is pretty much life. We all know that. We can't survive 3 days without it. If the power goes out, you will still have water flow through your, through the tap. Use bathtub bladders if that happens and fill those up and just leave that. Do you need water purification? Purification tablets. We have a murky filter. Those are a little on the pricey side, but when it comes to filtering water, you want quality.
They're a good 3-stage gravity-fed filter. So you just pour the water at the top, filters, and drops it into the bottom container. If you're doing this, think about what you're prepping for. If you're prepping for a hurricane, different situation. If it's an EMP or a major grid down situation, don't rely upon a lot of battery operated things. There's battery operated water filters and pumps and things like that, but if there is no power or batteries.
And if you want to do rain catching, it's not a good idea to catch the rain and use the water that's coming off of the roof if you have shingles, because there's chemicals in there and birds leave you presents that you don't necessarily want. But that's why, you know, if you do, you can collect it, but you do have to purify it, of course. Let's see.
And be careful with your containers. Make sure they're BPA free.
Yes.
You know, we know milk jugs are not good. Even the gallon water jugs you buy at the grocery store, those milk jugs, the milk jug style, are designed to disintegrate in 3 years.
We found that out the hard way.
Yes. So just keep that in mind if you're buying the 1 gallon jugs like that. They are designed to decompose in the wasteland.
So what we use now, we've been using for a while, is the 2-liter soda bottles. We'll just, you know, use whatever. Rinse them out real good, wash them out, and then fill them up and put them away.
Or the 55 gallon drum,
Or the 55.
food grade water containers. Just make sure it's food grade for your long-term water storage.
Okay. Shelter.
Shelter. So, are you bugging in or bugging out? You have to have determination on for yourself. If you live in an apartment complex, it's probably not going to be safe if something's going on, a mass scale event. You're going to have to figure out where to go. The problem is where do you go? There's not many places you can that are going to be safe. When you leave your house, you're exposing yourself. You need to understand that. You know, the whole concept of like The Walking Dead, where they're just wandering around, is a failed idea. You can't do that. We can't survive with what we carry on our backs. It's impossible. And especially if there's a whole bunch of other people doing the same thing, you're going to be out there in the middle of the woods with people that have no idea
Well, a
how
lot
to
of
do
people think that, okay, well, I'm just going to go to the mountains and live off the land. Well, one of our members of North Georgia GMRS had mentioned, you know, because he lives up there in the mountains, and he eloquently put it, sometimes those mountain people don't want you there. So you have to be very careful when you tread on their property.
They will eat you.
Well, and that's the thing, you know, if
You must have a plan. If you're going to bug out, you better know where you're going.
you know, there's something going on in Atlanta or any major city, well, I'm just going to go to the mountains and survive because there's deer there. You know, there's all kind of, you know, areas that we can take over.
You got to think also, you know, 4 million people are going to have the same idea, you know, and
There's going to be no wildlife except for the 2-legged kind that are in the woods that are probably hunting you. Because they didn't bring anything with them, they're going to try and take your stuff. So think about that. The way we consider it, we're going to be bugging in, we're sheltering in our home.
I'm not going anywhere.
I'm not a young buck anymore. I can't carry that weight on my back. You can't survive like that, you know. Stay at home, take care of your home, have extra things. You know, that's going to be our shelters, our home. Keep extra tarps, plastic, duct tape on hand to where, you know, if you need to fix roof leaks. If you've had anything happen within the past 10 years, a plumbing fitting that's broken, go ahead and get another one, or a few extra materials at the house that you can fix things on the fly, because there may not be a Home Depot or Ace Hardware to go to. You know, so think about stuff like that, you know, what it's going to take to keep your shelter
Spare parts
intact.
for everything.
And camping is a good way to practice a lot of these skills too, you know, for bushcraft, you know, things you're going to be using at home, fire starters, water filtrations. If you decide to go, you know, camping to test out your stuff, buy good gear, because you may be using it later on too. You know, don't just go to Walmart and buy the $25 tent because I'm just going to go camping once, it's no big deal. Buy a good one, because you may have to use it later on, you know. Any questions about shelter? I know we're kind of breezing through some of these. A lot of people's wanting to talk
We went
about
over time yesterday, so we won't do that again.
because of me.
Okay, clothing.
So a lot of people decide to neglect on the thought of the clothing because they'll put more emphasis onto food, water, more especially because that's the 3 things. It will be food, water, and medicine. That's what the three things people will put into aspect. But then there will also be things such as, extra pairs of socks that people don't think about, extra shoes so you don't have to wear out the pair you're already wearing, extra coats for whenever the weather's getting colder, you need to, double up, blankets, hats. It's the small things that people don't consider about, the extra clothing that can make a big difference later on, especially with if you have children. If it's going to be a while before the power comes back on, or you don't know when anything's going to, return to normal, so to say, then you might want to get extra, sizes for the children. Also, bigger clothes for whenever you need to layer up. That way, you can actually make it fit, and you're not penguining around everywhere.
That's true.
On footwear too, don't think that just because you bought a couple of extra pair of boots or shoes that they're okay, because I buy the same size and same pair and store them away. Make sure you're breaking those footwear in and then store them, because if you are going to your new boots, that means something happened to your old ones, and blisters would really compromise you in a situation like that if you had to leave your home to go collect a family member or what have you. So keep that in mind. Gloves are very important. Make sure you buy good gloves.
And hats.
I do commercial construction work, so the PPE, the safety clothing that you wear is very important.
Next one.
Yes.
We're probably gonna, an hour and about a minute. Probably short.
Yeah. So over-the-counter meds. I currently do not take medication. She's just got some blood pressure medication, so it's not critical, but it could be if she doesn't have them. Anyone else that takes medications are going to have to keep that in mind, that where if you can't go get your meds, how long can you last at your home with the medications you have? You can request 90-day supplies, and from someone that was here yesterday, we just found out that you can go to your pharmacist 10 days before you run out and ask for another 90-day supply, and that's 10 days that you can take that dosage and store them, so you can overlap your prescriptions and keep that extra.
Now, on some things, like, now I know that, most, well, not most, but there are some diseases out there and ailments and things like that that, you just can't get around not taking prescription medicines for. But there are some colds and flus and, headaches and things like that that you can use natural remedies, So my recommendation would be to go onto YouTube and look up some recipes for natural remedies and tinctures and things of that nature. And also vitamins and supplements can also help with the small ailments as well.
Have a good stockpile. Your pharmaceutical medications, you can freeze them to make them last longer. You can seal them in Mylar bags to allow no light to get in, and they're sealed. If you're storing them in a freezer, they will last longer.